We are going to have a lot of reasons and a lot of self-made justifications in our mind to feel like we need to take vengeance out on somebody and be vindictive. The worm will convince us and whisper into our minds and tell us in 1,000 different ways that if somebody does something to us, we are fully within our rights to seek vengeance and to wreak it upon them. That's just an unfortunate reality. Recently, I had the opportunity, the ability that I could have been vindictive with somebody and I could have sought the path of vengeance. And humanly speaking, I would have been completely in the right to do so. But while there was a part of me, I'm not going to lie, there was a human part of myself that was very tempted to want to be petty and be vindictive and to take the vengeful road. There was another part of me, which was the part of Father. It was him putting into my mind, instead of doing that, do this instead. Not only is it going to be more strategic, but by showing this mercy and taking the high road, which is what it is, the situation I'm telling you about, it's going to also work things out for the better in the long run, because you're doing what's right in my eyes. This is what Father put into my head. Our first instinct when somebody tells us something we don't want to hear, or something happens to us that we feel is unjust, our very first instinct is we want to lash out, and we feel like we are completely in the right to do so. And again, one thing that the worm, that Satan, will do is it will make us think every thought that we have about why that it will be okay to take vengeance, why it will be okay to take wrath. It puts in our head every excuse to excuse away what we want to do to be vindictive or be petty, to be vengeful. But Father very clearly said in the First Covenant Old Testament scriptures that vengeance is his. Not ours, but it's his. And also in, I believe it's either in Mishle, in Proverbs, or it might be in Ephraim and Hebrews in the First Covenant New Testament scriptures. Regardless, look it up, you'll find it. It's also written that give your enemy a drink of cold water, and by so doing, you will heap burning coals upon his head. And I referenced this in a message a couple days ago when I touched on a theme very similar to this. Father tells us that instead of being vengeful, what we are to do is, instead of striking back at our enemies and being petty and being vengeful, being vindictive, we are to instead take the high road in every opportunity that is presented to us, that we are to be of a higher standing, a better standard, than dropping to their level and doing something just to be petty and vindictive, to get some sense of vengeance. Because Father says, you don't have to do that. If you take the high road instead, with whoever it might be, you will be heaping Father's judgment upon their heads, because you're keeping yourself blameless. And he sees what they're doing to you, and he will himself recompense in due time. But only if you don't try to seek and take vengeance and retribution for yourself. It's one thing if in the heat of the moment, in self-defense, we have to do something to somebody. But if it's premeditated, if we're doing something to somebody just because we feel like we're justified to do it, we feel like, well, yeah, I have a right to do this. If we're doing it for that reason, just because we want to feel better after the fact, then we're in the wrong. Because all we are accomplishing is sinking to the same demonic level, the same demon that is on that person. We are sinking to that same demonic level, and we are letting that same demon put its filth on us and influence us to do the same thing that they did. And there's never an excuse, there's never a reason for that. It's never okay. take it from me. Again, I had the opportunity to be myself, vindictive and petty to someone, and I was tempted, and I almost did it. But instead, I remember what Father said, and it held me back from it. Instead, I took the high road, and I'm very glad that I did, because it saved me from what would have otherwise been a bad decision. So keep this in your mind. I know it's hard sometimes, especially depending on who they are and what they've done, but if we take the high road with somebody instead of sinking to their level, and we let Father take vengeance and be vindictive, a lot more is going to be accomplished than if we try to do it ourselves. And that's a fact. Again, trust me, I'm speaking from experience.